As a leader, it's so easy to fall into the trap of believing that being responsible means you have to do everything yourself, that you have to carry all the weight. But what if that very instinct to control everything is actually the one thing holding your team back? Today, we're going to dig into a much more powerful idea, one that can really unlock your team's hidden potential.
So, let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You're completely swamped, drowning in work, feeling like you're the bottleneck for every single decision. And at the same time, your team just seems to be, well, missing that spark of initiative. If you're nodding along, trust me, you are not alone. These are the classic signs of a very common leadership trap.
To really see this in action, let's talk about Sophie. She's a director of operations, and her story might hit pretty close to home for a lot of you. She was living and breathing the daily struggle of a leader who felt like she had to have her hands on absolutely everything. And you can see how this becomes a total downward spiral, right? Sophie was stuck in these endless meetings, which of course led to decisions being delayed. Her team, feeling like they couldn't make a move without her, started to check out. They got disengaged. And this just made her feel like she had to validate everything even more. It's a vicious cycle that just leads to overload and, honestly, a ton of frustration for everyone. But then, something clicked for Sophie. She had this breakthrough, this aha moment. She suddenly realized the problem wasn't her team's motivation, it was her approach. And that one shift in perspective, from control to accountability, is where everything, and I mean everything, started to change for the better. This idea from M360 Leader's founder, Donald Fleming, was really at the heart of her transformation. It completely reframes what responsibility means. It's not about you doing everything in the here and now. It's about empowering other people to take ownership, which in turn builds a much stronger, more capable foundation for whatever comes next.
So when we talk about accountability, what do we really mean? Let's be super clear. This is not about playing the blame game, not at all. Think of it as a strategic tool. It's about creating an environment where people feel trusted, where they feel empowered to own their work and their results. And when you nail that, you unlock potential, you see productivity soar, and you build this incredible foundation of trust across the whole organization.
Okay, this all sounds really great in theory, doesn't it? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at the hard proof, because the results from Sophie's journey, and from a wider perspective, are pretty staggering.
Just look at this number for a second. -40%. What on earth could that represent? It's a huge drop, and it points directly to one of the biggest time sinks in any company. That's right. In just 3 months, Sophie's team cut the time they wasted in meetings by 40%. How? By building trust and using a few simple, smart tools. But the number isn't even the most important part. The whole vibe changed. Her managers felt valued, they were engaged, and they were truly owning their results.
All right, so Sophie's story is pretty amazing. But was it just a fluke? A one-off? Not even close. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture with this next number, a positive 50%. This shows just how powerful this is on a larger scale. A 2021 study from the Harvard Business Review found that companies with a real culture of accountability outperform their peers by 50% when it comes to things like innovation and productivity. The message here is crystal clear. This isn't some soft, nice-to-have management style. It's a strategic advantage that drives real results.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually do this? How do you go from just talking about it to making it real? Well, building accountability isn't about giving a single motivational speech. It takes a real, structured approach and the right tools to build that culture of trust.
You need a system, an ecosystem of tools like this one from M360 that's been refined over 15 years of working directly with leaders, provides that essential structure. Take the M360 Meet tool, for example. Sophie used it. By simply showing the real cost of a meeting, it makes everyone accountable for how that time is used. It's a game changer. And each tool you see here works together to build that culture of trust, brick by brick.
So, we've talked about Sophie's journey, we've looked at the data, now let's bring it back home. Let's turn the spotlight onto you. It's time for a quick moment of honest reflection to see where you might fall on that spectrum between control and real accountability.
All right, let's imagine this scenario. A really important project is falling behind schedule. What's your immediate gut reaction? Your first instinct? Be honest with yourself. Is it to jump in and take over, or is it to step back and empower?
You can really see the fundamental difference in mindset here. The control reflex is basically you thinking, I am the solution. But the accountability reflex, that's you believing, my team has the solution and my job is to help them find it.
One creates dependency, the other builds true capability.
Okay, second question. And again, honesty is key here. How often are you the one making a decision that someone on your team could have and probably should have made? Are you the classic, "it's just faster if I do it myself" leader? Do you accidentally become the bottleneck? Or do you genuinely see your main role as creating autonomy for your team?
When you get right down to it, it's about these two roles. You can either be the bottleneck, where every single road leads back to you and everything slows down, or you can be the autonomy catalyst, the leader who acts like a jet engine for the whole organization by empowering your team to take flight on their own.
And this classic quote from the legendary Peter Drucker just perfectly ties everything together. See, control is all about managing the present moment, trying to stop things from going wrong. But accountability? That's something else entirely. It's about giving your team the trust, the tools, and the ownership to actually create the future of your organization.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Real leadership isn't about micromanaging your team's present. It's about having the courage to trust them to build its future. So, the only question left for you is, are you ready to stop managing and start leading?